Who's ready for Old Man Yells at Clouds again? Let's go! Halo Infinite Season 5 is upon us, and the new maps are pretty dang cool. Cross-core helmets is a nice, well, step in the right direction, and the new customization options look really compelling. But yeah, I gotta admit, a rather significant chunk of my hype kind of died immediately once the realization set in, oh yeah, it's a battle pass. Now, this conversation will extend to the rest of gaming as a whole, but I'm gonna use Halo Infinite as a focal point because, well, that's what I just played. And it's a doubly sore spot for me, since Halo's always that series that had some of my favorite progression and customization of any FPS or multiplayer game out there. But gone are those days, as they have been replaced wholeheartedly with Battle Passes, at least for Halo Infinite. Now, what is a Battle Pass? Battle Pass is essentially a linear progression system that can have two main modes to it. One is a free-to-play route, where for free you get certain levels or certain rewards that are designated for free-to-play players to obtain by leveling up said Battle Pass. A Battle Pass consumes XP. It also comes with a premium version where you have to buy said Battle Pass. Once you've purchased said Battle Pass, then even more rewards will be available to you upon leveling up said Battle Pass through various levels. It's a progression system that achieved popularity and mainstream application after the fall of the loot box. The loot box was essentially gacha, where you would purchase a random crate that would give you random rewards with no real sense of player agency. You may obtain a passive fictional currency that you could accumulate over time after many failed loot boxes to obtain maybe what you wanted, but it was slow, lethargic, annoying, contrived, convoluted, and predatory in terms of monetization. And after significant backlash time after time again, the industry seemingly shifted over to a new form of monetization that had just started to be implemented across more and more games: the Battle Pass. I freaking hate this thing, but why did it catch on so much? Well, it came off the back of the loot box. And since it's not technically as bad as a loot box and isn't as predatory as a loot box, people were like, well, it's not as bad, so it must be good, or it's at least tolerable. And video game companies, out to get ever more and more profit and money out of the player, implemented battle passes since there was no real main backlash to them, at least on the level of, well, the loot box. And lo and behold, when Halo Infinite came out, that would be its main sense of progression for the multiplayer. You would buy a battle pass, you would work through the battle pass, and maybe along the line you would accumulate enough coins because of the premium battle pass you already got in order to get the next battle pass. This is a system that many multiplayer games would utilize. Some would just expect the player to just buy a new battle pass for every new season or new battle pass that comes out. Now, why do I not like the battle pass? A variety of reasons. One is a reason that Total Biscuit called out back in the day when StarCraft started to implement them. The idea of having to buy your progression system and then buy something to only then have to grind to unlock what you just bought is freaking stupid. Full stop, period, end of sentence. No ifs, ands, maybes, or buts. And while I do agree with him on that issue, I also expand on this by saying, it's just freaking boring. Like, think of it. Even for the free battle passes, or if you get a battle pass, it is so mind-numbingly, stupidly boring to level the thing up because you're on a linear railroad where you are forced to get and acquire what the game deems you should at each level and each step of the way. The only real sense of player agency here comes into which battle pass you want to further your account with. It is so mind-numbingly stupid and boring that it takes out a lot of the player agency that I've found so much joy in and fun with multiplayer games in between each matches. When I logged off for the day, I would think about, oh, I want to pursue this armor piece because it goes with what I have, or the vision that I have, or I want to do X challenge because it may give me a piece of paraphernalia that I want. Those moments of player agency, of thinking about the game and thinking about what I want to acquire and how I want to acquire it, are gone. sacrificed on the altar of monetization so that a bastardized version of progression can be ripped out of the core gameplay experience and loop of the game that used to be baseline and standard across the industry so that it could be sold back to you at a premium, with the main defense for its existence being that the multiplayer is free to play and that it's not as bad as a loot box. And that's like saying getting the flu is not as bad as getting syphilis, while being smashed in the head with a ball-peen hammer, while watching all your belongings burst into flames. It is not a high bar, nor should it be a bar that is used to be a standard. How low do our expectations and standards have to be, where it's technically better than a loot box, is the only qualifier we need to be accepting of something. But the problem is that loot boxes have been gone for a few years at this point across the board, and battle passes have been here for years at this point that they have become standardized and normalized, so people don't really bat an eye to this mechanic or this system that much on the whole anymore. And once that happens and once that sets in, well, congratulations, mass outrage towards a particular system of monetization no longer really applies, which means it can stick around, exsanguinating players' wallets all the while compromising the core experience of what made the series so fun and special before. The problem with Halo 5 was that its gameplay loop felt antithetical to the Halo experience. Also, its progression system was dog crap because of the Rec Pack, which was that game's version of the loot box. Halo Infinite comes along, it has a better version of monetization because the Battle Pass is better, or preferable at least, to the Rec Pack system. Again, not saying much, but for a lot of people that is sufficient. And the gameplay loop of Halo Infinite is really fun and compelling. It is a loop of gameplay that I want to get better at. I really enjoy it. It's a great blend between the old and the new. I love the weapons, I love the weapon sandbox, I love the tools, the equipment, the map design is overall really cool, I like the game modes. The idea of flood-based armor sets for your Spartan for Halo Infinite is a genius idea. I love that concept. I love the creativity that is going into the game. The problem is, it's always going to be undercut for me because of the Battle Pass. Because it comes packaged alongside an inherently unfun form of progression for me that takes me out of the experience. This is not a Halo Infinite problem. Bear that in mind. Sorry, hiccups. This for me is an industry-wide critique, and one of the reasons I took a massive step back from multiplayer games on the whole. I always liked that cohesion between the in-game experience and the out-of-game experience, where in the game I'm experiencing the gameplay loop, I'm getting better, I'm performing various challenges for more rewards, I have variety there, and then outside of that, I'm always thinking, how can I progress my account, how can I get new customization and paraphernalia by playing the game natively that I can show off to other people, to my friends, my buddies, or whatever, and create the Spartan or player character that I find personally aesthetically appealing. That synergy is compromised, irrevocably so, once monetization comes into the picture, and once people say it's okay if it happens to cosmetics, because it doesn't happen to gameplay power. Which, yes, that is preferable, but can we stop trying to pretend that cosmetics and aesthetics in games are not important? Because if they truly weren't important, they wouldn't be selling you them, would they? You sell something that has inherent value, that you think people want to such a degree that they are willing to spend additional money for. One of the big things they advertised for Season 5 of Halo Infinite is the flood-based armor sets for your Spartan. Those are cosmetic only, at least to my knowledge, but 99.9% sure they are just there for cosmetics. They look cool as hell, but the mechanism upon which they are delivered to the player, to me, is inherently not fun. And this isn't even a matter of just paywalling. That's a big chunk of it. But the system of the Battle Pass itself takes away from the player agency that so many games, past and present, can utilize to an effective degree to keep the player engaged and to follow a path of progression that is customized and individualized for that player. Because the game forces you to go along a linear railroad, designating certain items to be better than others, and to be placed at different parts of the Battle Pass. the emotions and desires of the player are put to the side in lieu of that. And that to me compromises one of the cool intrinsic aspects of multiplayer progression systems, is that sense of player agency outside of the match, where you're picking and choosing what you want to do, or what you want to spend what you have built up so far on. The only decision at this point is which battle pass do you want to chug your XP into. Which is like, yeah, that's some variety of player agency. But in terms of the spectrum of player agency, it's at like the freaking bare minimum. It's like hugging the line. It's dry humping the line between bare minimum and no player agency. It's barely anything. At least to me. Again, this is all my opinion. But to me, I think there is a ceiling upon which Halo Infinite can inspire me to really want to designate a lot of time for it. And I think that ceiling is in no small part because of the Battle Pass system. If it had a cosmetic progression system akin to Halo 3 or even Reach, I would be far more inclined to dump a bunch of hours and matches into this game, because the game would have me engaged both in the game and out of the game, with deciding how I want to get better at the game and how I want to spend my XP on, or my resources or credits or whatever, how I want to apply that to my account in an individualized, unique, player agency-driven way. Funnily enough, the Master Chief Collection kind of circumvents a few of those issues. Not fully, but it's a better step in the right direction. Now, how does it do that? Well, it breaks its battle pass down into certain tiers. So say there's like 10 tiers to each battle pass, and each of those tiers has like, say, maybe 10 items you can pick and choose from within that tier to acquire in whatever order you want. In order to progress to the next tier, you have to max out the previous tier, but at least within that tier, you can pick and choose what you want. It's not much, but it's at least a level of player agency injected into the battle pass. It's more fun and engaging to me, the player, because of that simple change. It doesn't fix the system wholeheartedly or wholesale, but it's a step in the right direction. The battle passes in that game being free to play as well entirely also is some small factor of that. For me, Halo Infinite is going to be one of those games that's fun to jump in every now and then for a few matches just to experience that gameplay loop. Because the maps are fun, the modes are fun, the game itself is really fun. But it'll always have that battle pass issue that invariably compromises my experience and desire to further my time with the game. That doesn't mean I won't play Halo Infinite in the future. I almost certainly will, because I enjoy the game. But we can call out aspects of a game that we don't like while still enjoying the rest of the game. But I think I'll call the video there for the day. I hope my rambling made some kind of sense there. And if you agree with me or disagree with me, that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions, our own perspectives, and our own goals and what we want out of a game. But what I want you to do is leave a comment down below with what game had your favorite progression system. Multiplayer speaking, by the way. What game had your favorite customization or progression system or both, and let me know how it was and what game it was. I'd love to hear your thoughts and hear your stories. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm gonna go and maybe play a little bit more Halo Infinite, because like I said, the game is fun, and it is trending in the right direction on the whole, in my opinion. Alright everybody, I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.